So in July of 2024, Erica and I were gonna sell our vehicles, sell a bunch of our stuff, put our things in storage, and move to Spain. And so before that happened, early in the year, in the winter of 2024, I decided to take one last road trip. And after 2 weeks of traveling throughout the Western United States, Erica flew into Eugene, Oregon, met me, and we drove down the coast to Northern California to meet a few of our friends and hike the Lost Coast Trail. The Lost Coast Trail, it's a cool trail, so it's kind of far removed from civilization up in Northern California. It takes a few days to hike along the coast. Gorgeous area, rocks, sand, lighthouse, it's creek crossings. It's a cool, secluded, exciting place to hike. Not exceptionally difficult or anything, which is why it is a surprise that on the very first day, I found myself being followed by a helicopter.
Better get some energy out.
So all day, I'm walking around like a moron, telling everyone, man, I keep hearing this bird tweeting all the time. And it's weird because that bird kind of sounds like when you get an inReach message.
Are you sure that's not the inReach? He was like, no, it was locked off and in his backpack.
Looking back, it is the dumbest thing because what was happening is that inReach button had been pressed inside my pack. It had sent an SOS, and SOS services were trying to contact me. They reached out and contacted my emergency contacts, who contacted other people. And so all of these people was trying to contact me. And this dumbass right here, me, I just kept thinking there was a bird chirping. So when did I realize the error of my ways? When did I realize just how stupid I was? Well, it was when the helicopter flew by and then flew back by. Eventually, when the helicopter seemed to be following specifically me. We had climbed down from a cliffside, dropped down to the beach, and as I walked along, I noticed the helicopter was just right off the coast there, tracking my progress.
Then as we continue to walk down the coast, we realized, oh, the copter's not shadowing us. They're following Jason.
Thankfully, my buddy Ryan noticed that they tossed something out of the helicopter.
Ryan runs over to figure out what it is and picks up this really long strip of fabric or paper wrapped around a rock inside of a plastic bag.
It said, Jason, your inReach has gone off. Are you in danger?
If you are not in distress, please let us know.
There's a mistake here. This thing is off. How could it possibly be sending a signal? So I reached down to my pack and I'm like, look, I'm gonna show you, Ryan, that this can't be for me because my inReach is not even on. And then I pulled the inReach out of the pack and sure enough, the screen lights up. It says SOS in progress.
And we are like kind of mortified that this is happening. All this time was devoted to try and find us when we did not need them to find us.
I've just caused all this chaos. Who knows how many people are involved in this? How many resources were just wasted? And then I also noticed I have all these messages from my friend Jeff from emergency services. So I pull out my cell phone and I start trying to communicate with people, let them know nothing's wrong. And I felt like a complete dumbass for the rest of the day, honestly, for the rest of that trip. And so that is what I thought about for the next 3 days while we hiked the trail.
I remember when we went to start the trail being informed that there were rogue waves. There was also, I believe, an undertow or a riptide.
There are little river crossings and there can be bad weather.
There was some rock scrambling, but I don't think it was that bad.
Everyone in the group was at least a canyoneer, so we've spent a lot of times in challenging environments. This was not a place where we would have expected to run into big trouble. And oddly enough, a few little weird things happened. Like the night before, there was heavy wind and some people's tents were looking like they might have problems or might leak. So that was looking problematic. The other Jason sliced open his hand.
He ended up slicing his thumb pretty good. I think Diana gave him a maxi pad to use for it.
And then also he had brought his adorable little dog along on the hike.
His dog's paws did not do so well on the first day, and so they had to double back.
The morning of day 2, he realized he needed to hike out because his dog could not make the trip. But other than that first day, things worked out pretty well for us throughout the trip, even though we were worried how much we may have freaked out all of our friends and family members. Everything from there was pretty enjoyable. The crossings were fun, the beaches were beautiful, the environment was beautiful, everyone seemed to have a great time.
This way was way better, guys. Really good call.
Our last campsite for our last night could have been a cool campsite,
It
except
just so happened to be the one campground that had been destroyed in a flood. And so where there should have been a campground, there were fallen logs, fallen rocks, and nowhere to camp. So we hiked back out to the beach and built our camp makeshift there on the beach.
Scott ended up making a really big fire ring for us, and we all kind of just enjoyed our last night there.
The most impressive fire ring I have ever seen. It looked like something straight out of a Boy Scout manual. hike the last section of trail up to the parking area where we meet Jason and the dog. Erica and I's phones finally have signal.
And that's when all the messages and the voicemails and the calls start coming in. Search and Rescue had tried contacting me first. So I had multiple messages from Search and Rescue, both voice and text. Then also had messages from his parents, voicemails from my sister, from my 2 best friends. It was a very big mess.
Our punishment was really only just beginning.
That's it. Goodbye.